Welcome to the Hear and Heard podcast. I am your podcast host, Emily. I want this to be a safe space for all women to tell their stories, grieve the hard parts, and celebrate themselves. Thank you for being here.
Welcome back to the Hear and Heard podcast. I have an old friend, Rachel, here, or my old friend, not that you're old. So we worked together like 20. Oh, look at you coming
Was
up
it
with
like, sadly, I know it was because it was the year I bought my house with no, it was the year I graduated, not the year my ex-husband,
Okay.
because disclosure early, my first marriage, my ex-husband, w we bought our house in 2017, and I remember that drive, so I feel like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
2016 into
It
17.
was super long
Mhm.
drive
That
for
we
you.
worked at Two Harbor I drove all the way from Gary Noodle Booth to Two Harbors, and I don't even I mean, yeah.
It was a good job. It was nice to work with you
Yeah, I was
for a long
fresh out of college, I was just trying to get, like, some credentials, I guess,
Yes.
under
Yeah.
my belt because even though you go to, well, it depends on the degree, but with my degree, business management, it's like they want you to have experience on top of going to
Before you,
school for
yeah.
4 years, and it's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna get that experience."
There's like no entry level
Yeah.
jobs. It's just you need
So
experience.
you literally have to work your way up, know where to start with a connection, an
Yes,
internship,
yeah,
and things
yeah,
like that, and that's how I found out about, Largemont Cottages. My advisor for the business department that I was the
yeah.
president of had said, "Hey, they're looking for an assistant." What was my
I
title?
think
Assistant
assistant front desk
desk
manager?
manager, whatever
Yes,
it was,
yeah,
or so
yeah.
I don't know what it was, and, um I was like, "Okay, I need that management title under my belt,
I
you know?
love
I
it, yeah.
just spent $30,000 on school, and that's not enough, so I'm gonna drive 45 minutes." And then, yeah, don't need to bore about my whole job history, but, um, fast forward to now, I gave birth, and
Yeah,
I think my history, though, with my first marriage, I think it pertains to this with my infertility journey.
absolutely, yeah.
So, back when we were working together, I don't even think I had started,
Yeah,
um, that journey quite yet, but, um, my pregnancy was smooth and everything was, like, perfect, but, like, I have OCD, and so when I overly compulsively think about things, sometimes it's almost like my intuition is spot on.
yeah,
Sometimes I might be manifesting things, and I thought
yeah,
throughout my whole pregnancy that something there's no way, it's too good to be true. There's just no way my life goes perfect. How can I explain my infertility journey and now I'm pregnant and everything's perfect?
yeah,
You know what I mean? So it
yeah,
was just like I only got to have 2 ultrasounds because it was considered so healthy and not at risk, and so I felt like, "Well, now I don't even get that extra reassurance to see him." I didn't get much movement just because of the way I think it's called an anterior
anterior
placenta when
placenta,
it's, like,
yeah,
on the front of the stomach. I mean, like,
yeah,
I know he was alive and healthy and his weight
yeah,
and all his progress was fine, but I just I second guess, like, why did I go through that infertility journey? And
yeah,
I do think that it happened for a reason
yeah,
because I love where I am
good,
and like, where my life
yeah,
is now,
yeah,
but fast forward to the delivery is where it got very traumatic, and I felt like I
mm,
was right. I felt like my intuition and my gut was right, but some people would say that I just manifested the thoughts, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
it was unpredictable. So
So you went through infertility
mhm,
in your first marriage?
yeah.
Okay,
Yep, I didn't do, like, IVF, with needles or anything, I just had done a drug called Clomid, and it was like
okay,
a 15% chance, I think I remember, of increasing to get pregnant,
yeah,
and, nothing was working. They put me on, like, metformin because they diagnosed me with PCOS,
yeah,
and they were trying to get, like, sugar levels or something like that correlate with fertility?
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
too much, but long story short, it was a very toxic and abusive relationship, and I
yeah,
had to leave,
mhm,
and I found like, I wanted to go through that PTSD journey by myself, but I was also forced to go with it publicly because he was reaching out to people within my circle. So people were reaching out to me with these falsified statements
yeah,
saying, like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, he's saying this." And it's like, well, finally, I just put it out there. And it was like, now I'm telling my story.
yeah,
And it really, like, helped me get through that PTS
yeah,
journey. And
yeah,
so when I saw your post, I was like, I've been struggling for a year and a half trying to navigate my postpartum journey. Maybe I need to start telling my story
yeah,
because
yeah.
maybe it would help other people because I had a normal pregnancy, but my delivery was
Okay,
for what
so
it should have been.
so you got remarried and your husband has a
A son,
son.
yep. So I
Yep.
have a stepson. He does go to Pine City. There is a difference in directions from where his mother resides. So
Gotcha. Okay.
we get him different schedules based off of if it's school year and summer. But he and his brother, their bond, I love it. We just had him over Christmas break, and
That's so sweet.
yeah, it's nice to see him very attentive and
Yeah.
just making him laugh, belly laugh and giggle, and
Cute.
yeah, he's my stepson, my bonus, and he's truly got a big heart, and I hope that he can be a good role model for his brother.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So talk to me about if you want to, maybe talking to your husband about wanting to get pregnant.
Yeah,
Were you
that's a good
thinking that
good
maybe
place
you
to
would
start.
have fertility issues? How did that go?
So I was on birth control pills from it was like 2019 when I left. So I automatically went back on birth control. And fast forward to what it have been 2022. I'm thinking out loud when I got pregnant. So he was born in 2024, and I think we conceived in January 2024 because he was
Got it. Okay.
born on September
Yes,
30th,
that makes sense.
2024. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So I know it was like early January, and anyways, so that brings me like in that fall prior to when we had conceived.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting my period every 2 weeks, it was super abnormal, and I was like, normally with the birth control, it's
It's
like
just on.
yeah, because it's like you take the 3 weeks and then you got your sugar week, and I mean,
Yeah.
I've always had, like, a complicated, like, heavy period
Yeah.
in the PCOS. I knew I wouldn't wanna try any drugs again because when I was on the Clomid, I did have, a cyst rupture, and I've had
Oh,
cyst ruptures before, but this one had literally the pain, they call it a vasovagal response. So, like, if your
okay.
pain level is just so high that your body can't tolerate it, you go into, like, what looks like a seizure, like, the
Oh
pain
my
makes you convulse,
gosh.
but it's
What?
very known to note, like, I thought I was seizuring, like, when this
Yeah.
cyst ruptured, my ex-husband saw me
Oh
on the
my
floor
gosh.
convulsing, and I didn't have much of a recollection except for going down and coming to,
Yeah.
but they're like, "It's a vasovagal response when you're in traumatic situations, painful situations, it just kind of looks like a seizure."
Oh
So,
my god.
basically, I was explained like it was, what do you call it, an ovulation cyst, and that's why it was
Okay.
different to, like, other ones that I apparently have had
Interesting.
ruptured before
Okay.
and just taken care of on my own. I had to go to ER and everything that
Oh
day.
my gosh. Okay, so no
So I
meds
didn't I was like and they said that the Clomid probably had
caused
I
it.
don't know if the right word would be caused or, like, the specific type of cyst or how it
Got it.
ruptured or
Okay.
where it was,
Okay.
but I was like, I know that I don't want to, do drugs again, but, like, I always wanted to try to, like, I just realized that sounded bad how I said that. Sorry.
Use
Um,
drugs for improving fertility.
infertility,
Yeah.
and I'm scared of needles, so I was like, I don't even think I could sit there and poke myself even if I didn't have bad side effects,
Yeah.
but, um, my doctor basically said, "Well, your birth control is not working for you anymore, so you're either gonna have to think about your circumstances in life. Do you wanna try regulating your cycle and everything on your own?" Like, there's
Like
many different
natural ways.
options,
Yeah.
and for me, it was, like, pretty much my 2 options were, in my opinion, try. I'm 30 years old,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is my sign that God's telling me, like, try,
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Um, because I didn't wanna go back on a different birth control where she would have had to increase the hormones in them.
Yeah.
And, like, I was like, "Well, I don't wanna sterilize myself anymore by increasing the birth control
Yes.
amount.
Yeah.
Let's try." And so we weren't married at the time, but my husband now, was like, "Yeah, let's try." And it took about 3 months. We didn't, like, force it or anything.
Yeah.
We just said if it happens, it happens, but we knew deep down that if it didn't happen with my history of infertility, we would be okay with
You'd be
that, and we
good.
would
Yeah.
accept that. We had
Yeah.
all the open conversations, what would we see, if it was not possible, but
Yeah.
then, like I said, 3 months, fast forward into
Oh
the
my
early years
gosh.
of days of 2024, and I found out I was pregnant. I almost knew before not almost, I did know before a test, like, when I say, like, I have OCD and I, like, obsessively think about things,
Yeah.
I know it's also an intuition from a mother, like, to just tell when something's off with their
Yeah.
body, but I felt sick, but not like a cold sick or not like a
Interesting.
flu-like
Yeah.
sick, like, I
Yeah.
just knew I was like, I'm like, it's too close to figuring out my period, but, like, so I had to wait,
Okay.
like, what would have been 2 weeks because
Yeah.
you can't tell until, like, 7 days before your missed period.
Right.
And the line was really faint, and so I was like, "I just need to go in," and the only person I had told because I didn't wanna get my husband's hopes up, and
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I called my sister, I was like, "I'm gonna go get a blood test or a urine test," whatever it is, because, like,
Yeah.
I think I'm pregnant, but, like,
Yeah.
it's too soon and I'm too impatient.
Yeah.
So, you'd think the doctor would be able to tell me. Well, so then I go and do the urine test and it comes back negative. And I'm telling her all of this stuff and
Yeah.
she's like, "Let's do a blood test. It sounds like you are." Blood test came back that I was pregnant. So it was like I love my primary. She did everything
Yeah.
and anything, even though she probably really didn't have to because I
Yeah.
should have just waited,
Yeah.
the month that you find out. Usually after you conceive, you find out a month or 2, but I was too
Yeah.
impatient and I just was stubborn and I knew
That's so
and
sweet that
yeah.
she did that for you, though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How was, like, early pregnancy? Did you have morning
Morning
sickness?
sickness.
Yeah.
Yep. Acid reflux. That was
That was the worst for
I
me.
almost said that on my phone. Um,
You can swear, it's okay, truly.
I say it lightly because I don't want people to judge me, like, I don't wanna say, like, I hated being pregnant, but, like, not having control over my mind, like, my hormones, my
Yeah.
body, and my mind was a challenge for
Yeah.
me, and I didn't like feeling nauseous, I didn't like having to, like, feel like I can't eat, but then I have my son living inside me that I gotta feed, so
Yeah,
it's like, how
right.
do I find the balance? And then they give you antacids, and then they give you this, but then there's usually, side
Side
effects with
effects,
each
yeah.
medication that you try, so then it's like, now you gotta try this one because this
Yeah.
is counteracting with this one, and
Yeah.
it's like loaded up on vitamins and everything to help as much as they could with the nausea.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, the 2nd trimester was pretty good. The
Yeah.
3rd trimester, it came back, and it was also, like, August,
Hot.
it was
Oh my
hot, and I was 8
gosh.
months pregnant, so it's like,
Oh.
I feel like I shouldn't complain because I'm blessed to have had such a very easy pregnancy, but at the same time, I was like
I cannot do it.
yeah, it was challenging, but then I'm still trying to, like, work through things to this day, so I don't really know if I fully understand things when I'm talking out loud about
Yeah.
them, but how I just look at it as I think like what I was saying, I'm blessed to have had the pregnancy because it allowed me to be calm and not prepare because
Yeah.
there's no way I could have prepared for what happened,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was working full time. I think the next really important thing was just oh, no, the next important thing was I got married. You can judge me all you want. I had a shotgun wedding.
Well,
I was 8 months
I mean,
pregnant.
you guys were together and I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how it happened, but you guys were together.
Yeah.
You had okayed trying for a
And open
baby.
conversations too with our
You were,
histories has never judged me for the baggage that has come with my ex and
yeah,
vice versa out of respect. I won't go into too much details because um I just want to be respectful, but it's also part of my story. But we had open conversations of like what he was traumatized from his ex,
yeah,
and specifically like how his son was withheld from him as a pawn. So
yeah,
like we had open conversations. Like it was important to him to be married, and then people would be like, "Well, then why didn't you get married before you started
yeah,
planning?" But it's like again, everything just kind of happened as it
yeah,
happened. We didn't
yeah,
question it. We just
yeah,
let life happen,
yeah,
and it wasn't stressful.
yeah.
So, I mean, people can judge, yeah, she had a shotgun wedding at 8.5 months pregnant, and I'm clearly big as in my white dress at the courthouse, but honestly, it was what was perfect for us because
That's so
not that
great.
he didn't think he could trust me, but, like, also he has, um, the benefits through his job, so health
Yeah,
insurance-wise,
yeah.
it was important for me to have the same last name as my
Your
son,
son.
like,
Yeah,
it wasn't a deal breaker, I'm not saying he had to marry me for the last name, like, we married each other out of love, but the open conversations we had, it was just the perfect fit for us,
yeah, yeah,
and having a child out of wedlock for a male's standpoint, if you have a child out of wedlock, you're fucked.
yeah.
Sorry for my language. But yeah, again,
if
it just
things
worked.
if things go awry in any way,
Yeah.
it really is.
hmm And again, that's
Yeah.
not the only reason why he married me because
Well,
like he wanted
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I offered. I said, if that is a traumatic experience for you that I have to respect, like we had open conversations. I said we can go get custody established. We don't even have to get married.
yeah,
I will
yeah,
go meet with a lawyer with you right now, so you have that extra
yeah,
reassurance that if
right,
anything got volatile before
yeah,
between us, you had that even though deep
yeah.
down. But anyway, so yeah, we got married in August.
That's sweet though. I feel like that's such a like a testament to
Yeah.
your love and your devotion to each other
hmm
because I mean, if you didn't really care, you wouldn't want to take these extra
Yeah.
steps to
And for me,
for
it's my
him.
second marriage, so I do
Yeah,
feel like sometimes there's shame with that, but I really don't think you should, as a man or a woman, feel ashamed because
right.
life happens and it.
Yeah,
I can say it like it's easy, but I actually struggle with it. But it's hard to not compare yourself to like others. I tried to do everything so perfect and normal, but even if you do,
yeah,
sometimes life still throws curveballs at you.
yeah. And also, I mean, it sounds like your second marriage is a lot healthier
Yeah, and
and
it's
better.
I don't know if unorthodox is the right word, but, untraditional. Like, I might have tried to do everything traditionally right the first place,
Yeah,
but I don't care if I did it backwards
yeah.
than I did the first time
And
because
then
it worked for
whatever.
us.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
love each other.
yeah,
We did it for what we know, what was the good reasons. Number 1, loving each other, but then also just, like, understanding each other, and he's never judged me for the type of baggage that I come with and vice versa. So it's like you almost have like that connection. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
have to make sure you have to have that connection
yeah,
before you marry
yeah.
someone that you love. But don't get me wrong, he'll probably watch this. He's a royal pain in my ass. I love him, but he has no filter. Sometimes it's just like he's the extrovert that doesn't shut up. And I'm the introvert that's like, we go into Sam's or Costco and he has to run into someone
He
that
has
he
to
knows.
talk
And
to everyone.
I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone in here. I just want my cart. And I just
That
like,
is literally my husband and I are the opposite. I
yeah.
will run into everyone and be like, whatever. My husband's like,
Can we please leave? Yeah,
sorry.
I'm with him there.
Like, just feed me snacks and I'll stop talking or something.
I usually sit there in awkward silence while he's talking. And then I'm thinking about like, okay, don't stand there looking like a resting bitch face on, like, you know what I mean? Like this awkward human that can't talk.
Yes. That's funny. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's maybe talk about preparing for birth.
Mhm.
Did you feel like nervous about birth? Did you?
I was very nervous.
Yeah,
I was because deep down I felt like I was just trying to prepare for if things weren't to go my plan,
yeah,
not necessarily that things would go wrong, but like everyone has their birth plans and you have
yeah,
to prepare
yeah,
that sometimes you can't follow to a T, but like I knew I wanted the epidural. I knew there's just no way like I could try to deny that I would be able to handle that type of
yeah,
pain
yeah,
tolerance. And I'm okay with admitting that. I give
yeah,
women who do it naturally, I give props. I just know I'm not strong enough.
yeah,
And then I wanted to do like vaginally. I don't want to say
yeah,
naturally because it's not necessarily naturally if you're doing medication, but
yeah.
I don't know the proper term. So I'm sorry if anyone is like, oh, she's using the wrong terms.
No, that's
But
okay.
yeah, I wanted my husband, I wanted my sister in the room, I wanted to deliver vaginally, and I wanted an epidural. Um, my OBGYN did listen to me too. She when it came close to like my due date was September 29th.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't, when you go to your appointments closer, they see if you're like
Yes.
dilating
Yep.
and
Yep.
whatnot. And I was not showing any progression. So we already knew it would probably be a scheduled motion.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can't change that. We gotta go and get induced. And I was like, but please don't make me go past please don't make me go past my due date because I've heard of like other stories where they're like, oh, I went a week or two past
Yes. Yeah.
the due date. And of course he's measuring fine and everything. So it wasn't like I was worried about delivering a big baby or
Yeah.
anything, but
It's
like,
just hard. You're ready for your baby.
I prepared for that time
Yeah.
frame. Like I wanted it to be that. I wanted to control it even if I can't. And so she listened to me and she scheduled my induction for my due date, which was a
So
Sunday.
sweet.
So we were scheduled. Well, I had to call at 5 o'clock that day, and then they would tell me if I would be coming in at 7 or 9, I think it
Oh,
was.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, like, I
Yeah.
had 2 times. This is St. Luke's, I love
Okay.
St. Luke's.
Yeah.
Like, they were amazing, and we got lucky because we got one of the birthing suites. So,
That's so
like,
nice.
the other, like, rooms when I was walking down the hallway, like, I was
Just
like, "What are we doing? They're tiny compared to the what I don't know how we got this freaking suite."
that's
But again, it worked out because
Yeah.
not to, like, spoiler alert, but, like, we were there 5 days.
okay.
So it was also nice having the extra space where I truly feel like we needed it. It
Yeah.
was I
Did
don't
you
wanna sound selfish.
feel did you like feel relief when you kind of had your induction date
Mhm.
versus
I
like,
felt
oh,
like it,
this is
yeah.
gonna yeah,
I
okay, good.
almost felt like it gave me a little bit of reassurance because I was like, I can still plan to have, like, like, the process was explained to me where they would start, like, the pill,
Yeah.
and then that's what they did the night that we came in. We started whatever that pill's called, and then, I woke up at, like, 4 the next morning, so Monday morning, and like, I was like, "I got pee," and I went up to go to the bathroom, and, like, my water just broke on my
Oh.
way on the way to the bathroom, and Andrew's sleeping on the couch, and I'm like, "I think my water just broke." And then I start panicking, so I was like, "Oh my god." Like, I tried preparing for this, and it's here. What do we do?
Yes.
So we just started from there. Like, I didn't do the epidural until was it around 9, I think?
Okay, so in
Yeah.
the morning, did you get and why am I losing? They did an
Water
IV
broke.
with
Yeah, and then the water broke,
okay.
um, at 4, and so for about roughly 3 to 4 hours, it was unmedicated because we were trying to, like, be in the tub and,
Got it. Okay.
judge when would be the right moment for that
Got it.
epidural.
Yeah.
I can't really remember why. It took exactly 3, 4 hours, but I do remember because I was like, anytime a contraction came, I was like, "Oh, I don't like this feeling." And, like, again,
Down
like,
with
I feel bad
epidural.
because I don't wanna make it sound like I hated being pregnant or hated the delivery, but, like, I was like, "How do women find this so beautiful? And how do women find this so" like, I feel like a terrible person for saying this out loud, and you judge me for saying it, but I was like, "This sucks, like, this hurts."
I think a lot of women can resonate with that.
I'm sorry, I'm just an honest person,
Yeah,
and
no, that's good.
but it wasn't too long, and it kinda went by fast, and they did the epidural and then Pitocin,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, so labor did start before Pitocin.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
water broke,
Yeah.
so they didn't
Okay.
have to break that,
Nice.
and then the epidural, she had to poke me a couple times, that I was really scared for because,
Yeah,
like,
I can
I'm
imagine.
terrified of needles,
Yeah.
and I tend to hold my breath, and I'm not aware of it unless, like,
Oh,
I prepare,
yeah.
like, if I go get my blood drawn, I will tell them, "You need to keep me talking,"
Yeah.
because if I stop talking,
I'm gonna hold
I'm
my
I'm
breath.
probably holding my breath
Yeah.
and I don't even know it, and
Yeah.
I've passed out numerous times, even as, like, I brought my mom to a procedure and I was her driver, and they poked her. They didn't even poke me, but for 30 minutes, they couldn't, like, find her vein and poked
Oh
her, and I
my
just sat
gosh.
there. I don't know how long I held my breath, but I was like, "I don't feel good." I was like, "Where's the bathroom?" And I got up and I passed out on the hospital floor,
No.
so I woke up on a gurney next to my mom, and she's about to start a procedure, and I'm supposed to be her driver, and I was like, "Sorry." Like, that's how bad I hate needles.
Oh my gosh.
I
Okay.
have a small little tattoo, and I didn't pass out then, but held my breath because it only took 5 minutes,
Okay.
not even, and it turned green. Like, so
Oh
I
my
can't
gosh, girl.
explain
Okay.
enough, like, I was scared for that epidural,
I can imagine.
but I did it. I was proud
Good
of
for
myself, it
you.
wasn't that
Yeah.
bad.
So did they like numb you with a little needle first and then do the epidural?
Yeah, so they
Okay.
numbed it, but then also I found it very comical how they told you to sit crisscross applesauce, and I'm like, "How do I do that with this?" How do you expect me to get my legs like this when
Right.
So it
Right.
was kind of like I wanted to make sure I was following their
Yeah.
instructions 'cause I didn't wanna, like, mess up and,
Yeah.
accidentally have something go wrong or have to keep retrying because I'm not positioned right, so
Yeah.
I was so focused on making sure, and I had to, like, take my leg up and, like, hug it out, and I'm like, "Okay," and then it didn't go for the first time, and then Andrew's holding me, and I can't remember, but I was hurting him. I'd have to ask him, but
Squeezing him
he's
or
like, "That
something.
was really painful the way that I think my legs or something were crisscross applesauce," or I don't
Oh my
know.
god. He needed to have a little pain to
Yeah.
experience. a fraction of what you were
And he's
experiencing.
been through this before
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So it was like I also kind of felt like I had a disadvantage where everyone in the room knew what they were doing or had at least been because my sister's had 2 boys. He's had
yeah,
his experience from his first, delivery.
yeah.
Of course, everyone in that doctor labor delivery room, they're all skilled, so I was,
Yeah.
like, trying to get that very intrusive thought out of my head of,
Oh,
like, I'm the only
sad.
one in this room that's pushing a baby out of her, and she doesn't even know what to prepare for.
That's hard to
Yeah.
deal with.
But an unnecessary thought
Yeah.
too, but that's just the mental health that I struggle with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if it helps open up the eyes to anyone to understand that they're not alone, I'll embarrass myself and admit it.
I don't think it's embarrassing, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had the epidural
Mhm.
and then um where did keep going from there?
Okay, I wanna make sure I get this right too. I always thought about it. I was like, I don't wanna, like, miss details because spoiler alert, I also have, like, a memory loss issue with it,
Okay.
so oh, spoiler, but, like, I was put under, and a lot of it was traumatic, but ultimately, I was not awake for the birth, but not to jump guns, but, like, that's just why I might have a hard time. Like, my
Yeah.
husband, I have to ask him questions about
Mhm.
how things happened during the time
Yeah.
frame where it's kind of blocked out. Because for one, I wasn't physically alert,
Awake, yeah.
and
Yeah.
even when I was coming to and stuff like that, it's still kind of, like, really groggy for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from what I remember is they started the Pitocin, and that's when the trouble started because, like, anytime I contracted, his heart rate would significantly drop. I don't know how they like, my OBGYN wasn't so it's not it wasn't the OBGYN, like, that I signed up for, but it was the
Yeah, it's
one
just the
on
one
that
on
sounds so bad
rotation.
saying it like that, but
No, 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 but it
yeah.
wasn't the one that you had seen your whole
I'm
pregnancy.
so thankful it was him, and I was also kind of, like, skeptical. I didn't want, like, a male. I've always been kind of just female only for
Yeah.
doctors, but I knew in this situation I would have to mentally prepare, like, "You might not get to choose."
Yeah, right.
And so, like, when I was like, "Okay, I got a male doctor," but he was amazing,
Good.
and he
Good.
listened, and the nurses were amazing. They would come in and they would try to, like, reposition me thinking, "Is it just because of, like,
The
the way he's in
position, yeah.
I don't know if the canal no, 'cause no, that's not the right term to use
Well, like,
yet.
the way that he's, like, sitting in
Yeah,
your
he wasn't
pelvis.
breached, he
Yeah.
wasn't too big, he was average, but, like,
They have
um
to, like the babies have to kinda maneuver
yeah,
their way through your pelvis,
yeah,
so I understand that. So maybe if they were positioning you,
mhm,
then he would like, his heart rate would normalize or something like
yeah,
that. That makes sense.
yeah, and so they would try that, they even tried stopping the Pitocin, they're like, "Is it the Pitocin? Like, are
Yeah.
we having maybe a reaction or an adverse effect that's making?" Because I just don't know how else to explain it, but it was so scary seeing his heart rate be so normal, and then all of
It'll
a
just
sudden, I can't feel the contraction because I have an epidural, but
but you
they're
can
telling me
see.
when I'm
Oh,
contracting, and they're like, "Every time you contract, there's some type of pressure on his head, and it's just it's causing his, heart rate to dip," and after they tried moving me, taking the Pitocin off, I don't remember the right terms for the exams that they do, I don't know if you do, but they, like, can put, like, monitors inside
yeah,
and
so there's,
yeah.
like, a continuous, like, internal monitor
Yep,
that they
that
can
was in,
do. Yeah.
and then you would, of course, check. The cervix check, I think, is the proper term to use.
Yeah.
But he's like, "I've delivered thousands of babies, and I think I know what it is." So it's, like, now 7 o'clock. Just to backtrack, water broke at 4, had epidural at, like, 9, Pitocin that was started shortly after that, I don't know exactly what time, and then
Yeah.
just, like, from there on, we're trying to figure out what is wrong.
Yeah.
Does he need like, it could be shoulder just like, they're just trying to figure out, but
Yeah.
nothing was blocking. They're like, "We think you have CPD." And he's like not even saying I think, he's like, I've delivered thousands of babies, and I know that this child will not be able to fit through your pelvic." So he didn't explain it at that moment, but he was basically talking to my sister, and she's a nurse and been through it, and so, like, I was also
Yeah.
leaning on her advice, and then
Right.
my husband and I are looking at each other because he's like, "If things don't improve, I recommend an emergency C-section."
Yeah.
And so, we're like, "This is not what we wanted," but we looked at
Yeah.
each other, and my sister's like, "What he's telling you is true," and it's like, he can't it you could damage yourself, like, him, I could harm him, I could kill myself because CPD is central pelvic disproportion, if I'm
Okay.
saying it right.
Okay.
So basically, there's different, like 3 or 4 different ways that your pelvic could be shaped. There's the general male version
Yeah.
way, which is I'm not even going to try to pronounce the terms,
Yeah.
but there's medical terms.
Yeah.
And cetaphil, or if I'm saying that right, means head.
Yep.
Pelvic means obviously pelvic. So it means like his head just can't
Go through.
fit through my
Yeah.
canal. And he's like, I don't know specifically what form, but like, I'm just telling you that the only way this baby's coming is C-section.
Yeah.
And afterwards, he did explain it to my husband, and then he helped explain it to me that basically, if I wanted to have another kid, I would have to prepare for a C-section
Yeah.
because my body is not meant to deliver vaginally. And so then I felt like a huge failure because I was like, how did we miss this? Could you have done more ultrasounds? I immediately went back to like, well, I was so mad that you guys didn't do like more ultrasounds.
Yeah.
Could you have
Yeah.
predicted? Like, I was just trying to get in that defensive mode of figuring like how could we have prevented this rather
Yeah.
than moving forward.
Yeah.
But he just had to remind me like this is not something you can really predict until labor and
Right.
delivery. But it makes me think about like without medical interventions and whatnot, like these are the type of women that probably died during childbirth
Yeah.
or their children died or at
Yeah.
vice versa birth. Like,
Yeah.
it's scary to think about, but, like, without my doctor being so attentive that he was and being experienced, I feel experienced as
Yeah.
well, and, experience does matter.
It is, I feel like, so amazing. I think doing things like natural,
Mhm.
and like natural remedies, all that stuff,
Yeah.
that's so wonderful. But modern medicine is
Yeah.
so amazing. And just to have a knowledgeable
Mhm.
doctor knowing like this is what it is and
Yeah,
this is
because,
what we
like
need to do.
yeah, it's
So,
like, I mean, what if he wasn't, like, paying attention or, like, what
yeah.
if I just didn't have that? But, like, that's where I have to work through, like, you
Yeah.
can't worry about the what ifs and what
Right.
you can't control. That's a daily struggle that I will have for the rest of my life, but it just doesn't help that I started to, like, my anxiety got the best of me. I
Yeah.
panicked. It's embarrassing to admit that I don't always have the full control over it, but, it back to when I explained, like, when that cyst ruptured and I had a vasovagal response, pretty much I look at it as the same thing happened. I didn't know if my baby was okay. I didn't know if I had damaged him from the how many hours that had passed and I contracted, and now the doctor's telling me that anytime I contract, it's putting pressure on his head,
Yeah.
and that's what's causing his heart rate to dip, and I'm freaking out like, "Oh my god, am I gonna like, how am I also going to be able to lay on this operating table? I'm scared of needles. Like, how the hell am I gonna lay on an operating table and then, like, awake?"
Yeah.
And I started hyperventilating, panicking, and convulsing.
Gosh.
And
So
so he's
sorry.
like, "I'm sorry to do this to you, but you are not in the right state of mind, and I have to put you under." I'm gonna probably cry talking about it because
Yeah.
it's, like, one of the biggest failures that I feel like from it, and, um, I had to miss out on a lot. I had to miss out on the bonding that you get immediately after.
Yeah.
I didn't get to hear his first cry. Um, I didn't get to be mentally aware. I was pretty much just
Yeah.
I don't wanna say dead because that's dramatic, but, like, I was just
Yeah.
not alert on the table and having a baby ripped from me, and then respectfully, the doctor looked at my husband, he says, "Normally, you can be in here for a C-section, but if I have to put her under, she's gonna look dead on the table, and it's gonna be traumatizing to you." So he's like, "I don't advise you being in the room."
Yeah.
Then I also took that away from him, I feel like. I failed him where he didn't even get to be in the room.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a saving grace that I think both hold on to, or I do, is ironically, my colleague at the time, his wife is a pediatrician in the hospital in the labor and delivery, and she was on shift that night. So the
Oh.
last thing I remember before they put me under, she was at my head promising me that she was gonna take she was just like the pediatrician. She wasn't necessarily like, the part of the delivery.
Yeah.
She's part of
Yeah.
the delivery team, but she's the one that did his circumcision, like everything when he came out. Her and her team are responsible for him. So
Yeah.
like I knew before they put the mask over me, I did have that thought in my mind, and, like, I'm forever grateful for her for just, like, that one sentence she said before they had to make the decision to put me under. But
So can I ask you, was it were you like hyperventilating, having a panic attack, and then it was like kind of a quick, like, all right, we're putting you under? Or was it
mhm.
like, okay, we're gonna get you calmed
They
down
had
and
him
then
out in under 5, 10 minutes, I think. Again, I wasn't alert in a way I could ask Andrew, but, from the minute where he said, "We have to talk about C-section," they got me, I know, down there within minutes, and, I was convulsing on the way down there, and he didn't even hesitate by the time, like, Andrew was gowned up in our suite, and then when we all went down, like, I think it was a floor or 2, the decision was already made in that doctor's head, like, "You're gowned up, but you're not going in because I have to put her under,"
I'm
from
so
what I just
sorry.
probably what he witnessed with me, going to the
Yeah.
delivery room, so I, to this day, have not figured it out on how to, I guess, come to terms with that part of feeling like a failure because, I mean, he's happy, he's healthy, he's here, like, I should be grateful for that, but I feel like it's also clouded, like, now my postpartum journey. And then I was also thrown a lot of other shit my way,
Yeah.
postpartum, career rise, relationships wise, and, trying to, like, manage an imbalance of hormones, also a traumatic, situation that I don't have 100% memory of, and then I'm also now trying to figure out how to breastfeed this child that I'm feeling like a failure again because I can't emotionally connect with him. I couldn't get him to latch. I don't think anything was wrong with him. I think it was his he was feeding off of my stress. So I was stressed out because I had no idea, like, how to tell if he was fully fed or if he was just cluster feeding, and the OCD in me was just, like, overly thinking and stressing myself out that I firmly believe it's my fault and I just stressed him out, and I don't blame him. So, about a month, I didn't give up. I continued, but it was hell. So now I just went through this really traumatic delivery, trying to figure out how to breastfeed a month out, and I'm going to lactation appointment after lactation appointment. He's latching perfectly at every appointment. He's feeding perfectly at every appointment, but the minute I leave, we're struggling, and
Yeah.
I'm failing. So you might catch on that there's a drift of feeling like a failure all around ever since September 30th of 2024.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Truly, I'm so sorry. And the other thing too, like I think both things can be true at the same time. You can be super grateful that he's here
mhm.
and he's happy and he's
Well,
healthy
you're trying your best.
and you're trying your best and
Mhm.
all that. But you can also be devastated
And have
and
that
have that doubt and be grieving and feeling all those feelings. And it doesn't have to be like one or the other. Both things can be true.
yeah. I think that's very valid, and that's, again, why I think it's important to share stories, whether
Yeah.
whoever wants to listen, because I know I'm not the only one out there.
No.
It's like 1 in 250, don't quote me on that, but I think it's, like,
Yeah.
less than 1 in
Yeah.
200, women go through CPD, and it could be any, like, it could see so, like, if you look at my discharge history, the complications, not discharge, but, like, whatever, the history summary from the delivery, I
Yeah.
had 3 complications. I had the fetal distress, um, having to, like, be put under
Yeah.
for the birth, and postpartum hemorrhaging. I wasn't awake for it though, so I don't remember.
Mm.
But, like, I've heard other women's birthing stories about, like, I have a friend where she told me it felt like they were gutting a deer, like, her husband, it was kind of traumatic, like, they had to
Yeah.
go through that,
Yeah.
and maybe I should be grateful that I guess I didn't, but at the same time, I would like to understand what happened to me,
Yeah.
or
I
maybe I
think
just
like I mean, I feel like I was put under when I had my wisdom tooth. I can't remember.
mhm,
But I wasn't put under for birth or anything.
yeah,
I can imagine how hard it is, even though like a C-section would be very
mhm,
scary, hemorrhaging would be very
yeah,
scary. It's like you have the privilege to be awake and present and experience those things.
mhm,
And I think sometimes it is easier to maybe process through them
yeah,
a little bit more than if you're just like, "Oh, all this stuff happened to me, but
mhm.
I was out." you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit stubborn in me. I have a hard time asking for help and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah.
I know deep down I have my own things that I can work on, but I just didn't know how the most important thing, which is nurturing by, feeding, one of the most important elements of keeping this tiny human
Yeah.
alive. I just like don't feel like we're successful. So I made the decision because, like, I know I didn't have to stick to breast milk, but it was another goal of mine.
Yeah.
My goal was 6 months. I wanted to at least make it 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if I'm just struggling with not knowing how much he's getting, I decided to exclusively pump. I don't regret it, but
Yeah.
that was hell.
That's so hard. So
So
hard.
I was sleep deprived. Like, every
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours the child's feeding. But now you gotta think about um I'm feeding him a bottle
Yeah.
and then also having to pump. So it's like trying to figure out how Andrew can help feed him the bottle while I pump or whatnot. And then I
Yeah.
also felt like I was maybe missing out on some bonding moments
Yeah.
because I decided to commit to exclusively pumping. And it's like,
Yeah.
then I had to pump every so pretty much every time he fed, I pumped.
Yeah.
And I was literally only pumping enough supply
Yeah.
to
So
feed
there
him.
was no
I had
excess
no
freezer.
surplus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then I also missed an important step is, they had me on antihistamines when I was discharged.
Okay.
And so, like, I was dried up, and so, like, my supply took a week. Was it 2 weeks? I can't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks to even come in during those 4 weeks,
Oh
kind
my
of going
goodness.
back to when I said,
Yeah.
like, I did try breastfeeding. I was trying to keep in the back of my mind, like, "Hey, your supply's not in. They're just telling you your supply's not in." So
Yeah.
we had to supplement formula.
Okay.
But then once my supply came in, I was able to make the decision to just exclusively pump, and
Yeah.
it was just enough, so I'm grateful for that because
Yeah.
it allowed me to go till 4.5 months, I think I
Nice.
made it. I didn't make it the full 6, but sleep deprived, and
Yeah.
my husband was like, "You gotta think about your mental health because this is not
That's
worth
so
it."
wonderful that he was supportive and advocating for your mental health,
Mhm.
and your
Yeah.
feelings and not just, "Really, you have to do this."
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we had our struggles, but he was as supportive as I guess he could
Yeah.
be. It eventually worked out, and then we switched to formula, but my postpartum journey also continued to be traumatic because I had, been in a career that I thought I was going to settle down in. I ultimately had to part ways.
Yeah.
So, basically, I've now had a normal pregnancy, been blindsided by a traumatic birth, struggled postpartum with my hormones and breastfeeding and emotionally connecting, sleep deprived. I can't find childcare. Infantry care is very
Local.
scarce
Yeah.
out here. So I had daycare set up. So I put a deposit down back in the spring,
Oh,
had
great.
daycare all set up, and then she messaged me out of the blue in the summer. I think it was July or August, and was like, "Yeah, I just found out my licensing doesn't allow me to take your child." And I'm like, "Okay, great." I'm like, 3 months. How am I going to find childcare when I know it's
What?
already scarce? So then I also had to find
Good.
childcare, and we did. So I hold on to like that worked out. But due to her licensing, he couldn't start until 7 months is how it would worked out. But it was
Okay.
fine. Like it's
Yeah.
better than nothing. So
Yeah.
I mentally knew even before I delivered, I would have to prepare childcare for 7 months,
Yeah.
relying on family, friends,
Yeah.
and anything just so I can try to make it to my job 40
Yeah.
hours. Well, that was impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I was averaging 25 to 30 hours. Um, because my husband, it was also his busy season, and he had
Okay.
just started his new job too. He hadn't been there long enough to have any time
Have
off really
any
built
and
up,
people gave it.
and he builds it up during the busy
Yeah.
season when it's snowing. He's a mechanic for St. Louis County. I think
Okay.
it's okay to say that. Um, but anyways, they were so great, and he had just started, and a lot of the men came there together and donated some hours so he could have extra time off with me.
That's
So we were blessed there. There's so many things like I look back that I'm blessed on how they work, and I try not to fester on what went wrong. But I ultimately had to make the decision to search for a job, which made it even harder because no one wants to hire
yeah.
a fresh mother who's also I'm an open book. So like I was honest in an interview. I'm not gonna bullshit, I'm not gonna lie. And I would tell them like, hey, I have childcare these days. It's only temporary. In May he starts and then I'm available full time. Like but, like, I'm just telling you, I will give you my all. Like, I have a good work ethic. I can do the job. I would
Yeah.
go through interview after interview, and I felt like I was just being denied for all other reasons, but I knew deep down it was I'm obviously failing the interviews and there's better candidates, so failure again.
I think that's, not you failing interviews. I think that's the system failing new moms and, like, businesses and all of that set up to have
Yeah.
workhorses that are just available constantly and not people that
Mhm. And then
truly.
people would be like, "Well, why were you running from that job?" And I would have to explain that it ultimately, in a nutshell, was not a job I signed up for. When I started working for this, individual in his company, um, I was under the impression I would be focusing on more I was a financial assistant before, so I was doing some basic daily bookkeeping, that
Yeah,
type of work.
yeah.
Um, Even on my first day, the person was kind of guardish from me even touching the accounting side, so I was like, "I'm just this gonna be this team player and figure out where I can help out." And
Yeah.
he didn't have anything, like, he didn't have, like, a handbook. There was no structure for employees, and I had a management business degree
Yeah.
background,
Yeah.
so I was like, "I can help out." I was approached that I could go to UWS for a human resource certificate.
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, you have a need to clean up your human resources right
Right.
now, so let me go take this course," and he paid for it, which I'm grateful for, and, was like for 2 years, I took on a job that I did not want. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to just digress and say this is we gotta cut ties before things get volatile. I
Yeah.
was clashing with the business partner of his. She was the driving force behind him and saying, "Nope, this is XYZ," and I have to walk away. I don't wanna have hostility, like, I don't like having enemies. I don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
enemies, and to top it off, our living situation was tied to my job. So I knew deep down, I was like, "I gotta mentally prepare if I'm going to commit to finding a new job and moving on, I'm gonna have to find a new place to live now too." Feeling like a failure because I explained to
Oh,
your stepson, like, "Hey, we gotta move," even though we necessarily didn't have the intentions to.
yeah.
Life happens, and we did it. We came together as a family, we made it through it, everything worked out. Um, we're living with in-laws now, just, trying to navigate all these struggles,
Yeah.
and help just with that, but, I'm just trusting time and letting that work out because I knew I had to leave that job,
Yeah.
and then what it ultimately led to was me entering into a career that I had known nothing about, and it's called insurance. I'm getting confident in some areas, but
Yeah.
I also still feel like a failure to this day just because I don't know if I'm just not competent enough to be a salesperson. Maybe competent isn't the right word, but like quick-witted enough to
Yeah.
catch on to it. So it's like
Yeah.
I feel I'm still navigating struggles and things are getting better, but then sometimes, you feel like you're taking a step back because 'cause you're like, "I know not
Yeah.
to make mistakes, and I'm not intentionally making mistakes," but you feel like you keep making mistakes. And I don't
Yeah.
wanna go too much because I'm still trusting the process and hoping that I can eventually feel like a success story and
Yeah.
not a failure story for once in the past 16 months. Because sometimes I
So
feel like
far.
I have been a little, like you lose your patience. It's not like I harm my child at all, but when you're so tired and you just
Oh my
let out an
gosh.
outburst even of
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, like why me?" Even just those type of thoughts, I feel bad. Even though
Yeah.
my baby doesn't understand, I just feel
Yeah.
like, how could I let also now all these struggles that I've gone into bleed into my mental health where it's like, am I a fit mother? It's led into like questioning that. So I was really open to talking about the dark side of pregnancy, delivery, motherhood because I don't think we should tiptoe around
No.
it. I think it's beautiful. I think because when my son looks at me and I know that I'm just his whole world, I know deep down everything I've gone through in the past 16 months is going to be worth it in the
Yeah.
end. And I know my journey doesn't have to necessarily be over and I don't have to give up, but it doesn't negate what I'm going through
Yeah.
currently.
Absolutely not.
And I just want other people to not feel alone. Like,
Yeah.
be aware, trust your intuition, trust your gut, lean on others. I am in mental health therapy, like talk therapy. There's other therapies you can do too. There's meds you can look into. So I don't have a happy ending, as of this moment because I'm just living day by day.
Yeah.
Trying to make it through and be the best mother, the best wife, the best employee, the best colleague. I'm always worried about how I can be the best for others, but deep down, I don't know how to be the best for myself.
Yeah.
So just working on that.
That's so important to recognize that struggle.
Mhm.
It's hard to find a solution, but that's so important to
Maybe
recognize
talking
it.
about this with you
Yeah.
will help me feel
Yeah.
empowered as much as I look back to when I had to like reach out to help from a domestic abuse shelter. It kind of hurts your pride and ego when you're stubborn like me,
Aw.
but it's okay to admit and
Yeah,
ask for help, and
absolutely
it's
okay.
okay to talk about your story out loud or even in privately. And and that's why I was just like, maybe this is when I saw your post, I was like, maybe this is
Yeah.
what God like I am trying to get back to my faith too.
Yeah.
And it's like not trying to question why things happen, but also try to recognize like, hey, things do happen for a
Yeah.
reason. You might not be able to explain it in that
Yeah.
moment, but things do truly happen for a
Yeah.
reason.
And I feel like so many women and mothers and even just people
Mhm.
have so many struggles. And
Yeah.
a lot of people go through a lot of things that you were talking about and struggle postpartum, but just put on a happy face and don't
Mhm.
really open up about it. And I think it's so important to
Yeah.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like I started this podcast because I love birth stories,
Mhm.
but I've found a passion for postpartum and just like listening to other people's
Yeah.
postpartum stories too.
I think that gives speaks a lot of volume to you because I also firmly believe if you can't listen like, if you listen to react and not just listen to, like, understand before
Yeah.
you react, like,
Yeah.
you loving hearing other people's birth
Yeah.
stories has probably opened up your I don't wanna speak for you, but it's probably opened up your eyes and understanding
Oh my gosh, yeah.
birthing on a whole different level than I could
Yes.
even say because 'cause you've
Yeah.
heard and you've listened and given other women that platform, and I
Yeah.
think you're badass for that.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. This was such a joy, and I really do hope that
Yeah.
you can find a little peace with it.
I am ultimately thinking about myself,
Yeah.
for once instead of other
Good.
people, and it's just like, don't let anyone deter you from speaking your story or your
Yes.
own truth because
Yes.
even if it might hurt them in the end and whatnot, I don't think until you can kind of admit the faults and admit to, like, things you truly aren't going to move past it, and
Yeah.
I'm eager to get there, I don't know
Yeah.
how fully,
Yeah.
but been just survival mode after survival mode, and I just am hoping one day that I will get out of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I hope so
Yeah.
too. Okay, so I do have one more
Yeah.
question. So, what do you want your son to know about your journey to
Mhm.
becoming his mother?
I want him to know that I wouldn't necessarily trade it for the world in the sense, like, there's things that could have gone worse.
Yeah.
So, like, it's I don't want him to think, like I don't know how to say this, like, I want to be open and honest with him, and I want him to know that I've tried my best, and I don't want him to ever feel like I've failed him in any ways because I know deep down it's how I'm feeling. So, like, I just truly want nothing but the best for him, but it sounds so cliche, so all I can think of to explain further is, like, I just don't want him to feel like I could have done things, differently. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want him
Yeah.
to look back and think of, "Oh, that was a bad memory," or,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Mom was so sick this time because she couldn't get out of bed because she was so depressed." So it's like,
Yeah.
I use that as motivation. Woo.
Sorry.
I use that as motivation
Totally.
because I could just be, tied up in bed and not try and work through everything. But I know in the end it wouldn't do him good, it wouldn't do me good, it wouldn't do my family good.
Yeah.
And I want to show him that you can really put yourself when you put your mind to something, you can achieve it or there's ways you can try to
Yes.
find because I mean, I looking back, I didn't achieve things how I necessarily wanted it, but I have to remind myself that I have the most, like, I know it's biased to say, but the most cute little blonde-haired, curly, blue-eyed spitfire, that child. This
Oh my
morning, he
goodness.
just decided to get off the couch face down, and I'm like, "I don't know how we managed to make it
Why?
16 months without breaking a bone." Like, you know damn well that's not how we got the dog. But he's just looking at me and he's like, "Mm." He just
What are
thinks
you
he knows.
doing?
I don't know if it's boy mom life. I'm pretty sure it is because
Yeah.
I've got nephews, but it's just like waiting for the day we end up in the emergency
Yeah,
room because
truly.
of some accident that
Kids just love to push through boundaries, like physically and emotionally, and just like
at what point do they understand the word no from mother
never.
to
I
mother? Because
swear.
I
Oh
feel
my
like I
gosh.
say no to him and he's like looking at me like, I
Oh,
know what you're saying, but I'm not gonna listen
yes,
to you.
literally.
He's like a year and a half. He doesn't know better.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
know.
just so cute to see their personalities grow.
It is so fun. Yes, it is.
Like I can't say I hated being pregnant or hated being delivered because I love in the
Little.
end my son.
Right.
And I love the bond and the relationships that I get to have him see with other people, even grandparents, brother,
Yeah.
dad,
Yeah.
and he's the last grandbaby on my like on my husband's side. So like the in-laws, like
Yeah.
gonna be their last grandbaby because I did forget one part of my story actually. Um, I didn't know necessarily at the moment that I did not want to have kids because it was all hitting any more kids, I mean.
Yeah.
Um, because like that all just happened at once, so blindsiding, but I did know immediately after everything that I could not go through another
Yeah.
C-section. There's many reasons why I thought process, that one being I was 31 when I delivered. I would have wanted to give my body at least 5 years to recoup because the past 5 years, I had my appendix removed, I had shingles on my stomach, I
Oh
had
my
gotten pregnant, I
gosh.
had a C-section, and then I got my tubes tied 3 months postpartum.
Yeah.
And then I had to have a toe freaking removal surgery, which was embarrassing because I ripped my toenail off.
Oh
So it's
my
like I was having
gosh.
these procedures after procedures. I was like, "There's no way I could
Yeah.
go through another C-section if that's my only option,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with my one and done baby."
Yeah.
We agreed from the get-go we were just gonna try and
Yeah.
not worry about the outcome,
Yeah.
let it be, and so I feel like we followed through with that, and it was my decision, but my husband supported me. He's like, "If that's what you want, that's what you want." So,
I
3
love
months
that.
later, I did have to go back to my OB and he made it seamless. Yeah, he's like, "I've done thousands of these too," and he was telling my, husband how my tubes were remarkable, and he's like, "I don't know why he was talking about your tubes like that." Annoying. So I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Oh
But
my gosh.
anyway, so there's no more babies coming from me because I did get my tubes tied.
Okay.
But I want my son to just continue to be loved and surrounded. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much.